I had teased some time ago the Superman 78 comic and the Batman 89 comic that I was going to read and talk about those. And as I said, um, when they announced those, I said I will refuse to go buy those right away. Even though I'm really kind of interested in the Superman 78, I will not go buy that off the shelf because I don't trust them. They haven't earned my chance. They haven't earned that. These comics will have to come out. They will have to be in trade paperback. They'll have to be out for a while, and I'll have to have consistent reviews saying that they're pretty good. But I did finally read these books. So let me talk about them a little bit. First up, I want to talk about Superman 78. This is by Robert Venditti. The art is really amazing. It's the same artist for who was with the Batman 66. The same artist that did Batman 66. And I'm trying to find his name here because I'm blanking on it. Wilfredo Torres. So you got the likeness of Keaton, the likeness of Christopher Reeves, the likeness of Marlon Brando, the likeness of Margot Kidder. I mean, you've got these likenesses down quite well. And it really is I would say you can make the argument that it's a continuation of maybe Superman 2. Doesn't really give you any specifics to say whether the Lester cut or the Donner cut. I would say, though, that it's really, I think the only thing you can absolutely say it's a continuation of is the Superman 78 film. Because the Superman 78 film, it's darn near perfect. I mean, I don't think you can ever have a perfect film, but it's darn near perfect. And that's even with Superman 2, even with the Donner cut of Superman 2, I still don't think it's 100% great in every way. I mean, the whole idea of Superman wanting to give up his powers, and it just doesn't, bringing Lois Lane up for a overnight stay in the fortress. It just things just smack of not Superman, like even in the Donner cut. And then which I like a lot of things in the Donner cut too, don't get me wrong. I even like some things in the Lester cut. There are some good things there, but then there was also the thing that Donner had originally planned the ending for Superman the movie to be the ending for Superman 2. So they're kind of mixed, they don't flow together too well. So I really think it's just a real continuation of Superman 78, even though you do have some really cool moves. Like he throws the chest, the shield plastic wrapping over some enemies, which is kind of cool to see. But Brainiac is our villain. Lex Luthor's in it. Gene Hackman's, Lex Luthor is in it. And it's a Lex Luthor who's been on parole. And he's been on parole because Superman said everybody should deserve a second chance or whatever. So Superman is even, trying to give him this second chance. But Brainiac's our main villain. And I think this one, I've heard the rumblings that Venditti is working on sequel to this. So this one is coming back out with some more. This one goes kind of cosmic with its story. We've got Brainiac, we've got more space kind of fights, alien invasion kind of thing. And I think that's kind of where it needed to go with a continuation of Superman 78. Because to do a comic version as a continuation of Superman 78, you need to really establish yourself as being in touch with the same themes and the same type of feel that first movie was. You kind of have to establish it. And some of that's going to be kind of maybe retreading some of those themes a little bit. So you do have the theme, which made Superman 78 such a great film, was the choice, his progression of, I've got as I've called it, in the Freudian terms, the metaphorical mother was Ma and Pa Kent, Smallville, growing up with those homespun American values, growing up thinking of himself as a human, whereas the metaphorical father in that case was the consciousness of Jor-El teaching him his Kryptonian heritage and whatnot. And both of those are great. He needs his Kryptonian and his Smallville and everything, but his progression in that movie 78 was having to choose. That wonderful moment when Lois Lane has just died and he's flying through the air and he's about to go do something. He hears the voice of Jor-El saying, "It is forbidden for you to interfere with their history." Meaning you can't go turn back. A lot of people think turning back time is so cheesy. I mean, there has to be some suspension of disbelief about it, obviously. It's not something he can have in his arsenal at any time, obviously. But it really makes sense for his character progression because he hears, Jor-El forbids this. And yet then he hears the voice of Pa Kent saying, "You were placed on Earth for a reason. You're here for a reason. You can do the things you can do for a reason. That reason is to make a difference." So that made it perfect sense that he would go ahead and interfere with time in that. So this story does retread that theme a little bit of him having to learn about his, or come into contact again with his Kryptonian heritage self, but also the fact that he is human, right? If you ask Superman, he's human. He's Clark Kent from Smallville, Kansas, with, son of Ma and Pa Kent. Now, one thing so I really love that, and I love that it did that so well. The story is just, it read so fast that it was kind of over in a heartbeat, and I was like, oh man, I wanted more. Got the great tribute to the great Richard Donner there. One thing that the book does that I'm kind of like, I didn't like too well, but I get it. I do get it. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what it is, because it's not really a spoiler. In the first few pages, you kind of see it, happening. So it's not really a spoiler, but it has to do with Brainiac. So if you're a Superman fan, that Brainiac shrinks down cities of civilizations and whatnot. And of course, in the Silver Age, Superman had the shrunken city of Kandor, the Kryptonian city of Kandor, that Brainiac has shrunk down. Well, Jor-El and Lara are alive in Kandor. I didn't really like that too much, because I think you need to, once you do that, once you have Superman the orphan, once you got that Moses story, I don't think you can go back and give him everything that he lost. I think that kind of undoes it a little bit. And this doesn't really do that. It doesn't, in the end, it kind of does it in a good way. But it's a choice I would not have made. I get it. I get why it made the choice. It is very Silver Agey, and that's kind of what they're going for here. And it does help him address the progression of, am I going to be Kryptonian or Earth? It does help kind of address that and pull that into it again. But I wouldn't have done that myself. Now, that's just me. And I'm not saying this is I still 100% approve of this book and highly recommend you go check out this book. Definitely. Also, I'm showing you the cover here, the great artwork and everything. But if you take the slipcover off, this is really cool. I just discovered this the other day. It's designed like a VHS tape. Superman, the movie VHS on the spine. It's like what you would have written on a, sticker or something like that. On the back, it's got the wheels and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool design for the hardback. So absolutely do recommend Superman 78 if you're a fan of that first Superman movie, which is the real deal Superman in every way. This is a great way to kind of continue that story. Also, just as an aside, I haven't done maybe I should do some flat out reviews of this as well. But Elliot S. Megan, if you like that Superman and you're looking for more stuff to read, not just this one, go check out Elliot S. Megan. He did Last Son of Krypton was the first novel that he did, which came out, I think, right around the same time or just after the Superman movie did. They were trying to capitalize on that. But even more popular than that, and that's a great one, but even more popular than that is Miracle Monday by Elliot S. Megan. He just released, some years ago, he just released like a new edition of that one too, like a con edition or whatever. Really good stuff, really good Superman novels that you would thoroughly enjoy. They are classic Superman. It doesn't technically take place in the movies universe like the comic does, but it's that era Superman, 100%. Real deal Superman. So I recommend Superman 78 comic. I recommend Last Son of Krypton by Elliot S. Megan and Miracle Monday. Those are novels. Definitely good stuff. Let me check my time here. I might save the other review. Let me just say that Batman 89, the comic, hot garbage. Hot garbage. This, and it so bummed me out. I was so upset. I so wanted this to be awesome. I so wanted it to be good. But it's not. It doesn't even remotely do to the Superman. This is not to Batman what this is to Superman. It's marketed like it is, but it's not. It's not at all. This is honoring Richard Donner's legacy. This is making you feel like you stepped right back into the wonderful Superman 78 film. This is none of that. This is just something that Sam Hamm wanted to do. It's more a story about Two-Face than it is about Batman. The art's kind of cool, but there's like this weird time jump. Bruce Wayne has like gray hair all of a sudden. And, I wasn't looking for it. I know that the Burton-verse kind of follows the comics sort of loosely. So I wasn't looking for like really, rigid loyalty to exactly how these things play out in the comic book. I don't mind some flexibility with Barbara Gordon, or Robin or whatever. That's all fine. I knew Burton was kind of planning stuff like that anyway at one time. Batman is not a hero in this. Batman is the rich old white guy who needs to have his eyes opened. He needs to be woken up. And people who are going to wake him up have to be Harvey Dent as a black man, as somebody, you know, the Two-Face theme he went with here was he grew up in the black part of Gotham that was really hard, and then he made good, you know, in the rich, wealthy part of Gotham, the white part of Gotham, you know, so he goes that route. He goes like the Black Lives Matter route in this. And Batman doesn't really do anything heroic here. Batman's just the rich white guy who needs to be taught a lesson. There you go. Batman 89. Garbage. I wish I had never spent the money on it. It's 100% trash. And it grieves me to say that because I was so excited about, you know, all the problems that Batman 89 had with it. It still had a charm all its own. I was hoping that I could at least feel like I was stepping into Anton Furst's, you know, character production design or whatever, and you're not. Even the art, as cool as the art is, it doesn't feel like you're stepping into 89 Batman's world by any means. I mean, brings Catwoman back, but it's like, it's just, no, it's trash. I kept reading it thinking, okay, maybe it's gonna pull a fool you, and in the end, the things are gonna happen to where it's like, oh, it wasn't that, but no, it is. It absolutely is. So that one's trash. Don't ever bother picking up Batman 89 comic. Sam Hamm, I thought it was weird that they had him write it anyway. I was on board with it, you know, when I heard about it, but he wrote the script for the first Batman movie. Okay, great. But most of the problems that were in that first movie, like the problems with Batman, like things that Batman shouldn't do, were from Sam Hamm's script. And some of them got cut, you know, Burton, you know, changing it up. Sam Hamm wrote a sequel script, but it was rejected. And they went with the Batman Returns script. So it was kind of a weird thing to me to bring him back, because like he wasn't necessarily somebody that was of the Burton-verse legacy. He's just somebody that worked on the first part of it. And I like some of the work he did on that first part of it, but it was just weird. And then he doesn't want to tell you a Batman story. He wants to tell a Harvey Dent story, a black Harvey Dent story, which is all about class consciousness. And he wants to make a social statement. It's garbage. Skip it. So anyway, that is I did see somebody when I brought up the Batman 66, somebody was saying that they enjoyed that. I definitely agree with you there. Let me see if I can show you that. I think, did I show it to you the other day? I might have showed these another time. But this is the first version of Batman 66. Jeff Parker wrote these. I've got volume 2 as well. Actually, I haven't even taken the shrink wrapped off volume 2, ready in issue form. But they've done other ones of these too. They've done Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. Haven't read that yet. But they've done Batman meets Green Hornet, you know, some of those. And this is, if you like the Batman 66 show at all, I mean, this is absolutely, you know, you feel like you're back in that show. And yeah, I definitely recommend the Batman 66 comics that came out, was it 10 years ago now, maybe? Close to it. Maybe not quite that long ago. But that was good stuff. So, yeah, Spidey Rules says, wonder if Big Al Presents reads the Batman 66 comic. I got it for him. I got it, at least the first volume, maybe the second volume too. And he did like it. He's not much of a reader, but he really enjoyed that because for him, Batman 66 is the be all and end all of everything, you know, and he liked it a lot. He also liked, of course, the animated films that, thank goodness, Adam West and Burt Ward were able to do together before Adam West passed. It's good stuff.